I'll see a lot of times, hey, you want to fuck, or damn, them redheads.
Hello and welcome to the Player 33 show. I'm your host, Bob, and of course I am here with my trusty co-host, Finch. What's up, Finch?
Hello to all my fellow gamers, moviegoers, and of course to all my cosplayers out there. This is Finch. What's going on?
Oh man, a lot's been going on. A lot has been going on in the world and everywhere.
So on this episode, I know you got the subject matter, and I've kind of hadn't had time lately to look into stuff, so I'm kind of excited at what you're going to bring to the table today.
Yeah, I did all the hard work as usual. No, I can't say that. You're the one who does all the post-production stuff. But yeah, this is going to be a single episode. I mean, a single subject episode. We're going to dive deep into a very controversial topic in the gaming news that you guys have probably been pounded with constantly for the last 3 years. If you read any of the mainstream video game websites, Polygon, Kotaku, Rock Paper Shotgun, that kind of stuff. So what I did was I picked a particular Polygon article that came out about a week ago, and I think it's pretty funny. I'll go ahead and just read the title. So this is about a TED Talk for women, where Ashley Judd is talking about how misogyny must end.
Now, this is the scientist and expert Ashley Judd, or the actress?
This is the actress, which also makes her an expert.
Gotcha. Okay.
The title of the article, just to set the tone here, is called "Profiteering off Misogyny in Video Games Must End."
Okay.
All right. So she did her TED Talk, and I pulled a lot of clips from this thing, and I've actually had to watch this thing like frickin' 10 times. So I hope you all appreciate this.
All right, roll it.
All right, here we go. Now, this is her literal cold open, her actual intro in the talk. Here we go.
Ashley Judd, stupid fucking slut. You can't sue someone for calling them a cunt. If you can't handle the internet, fuck off, whore. I wish Ashley Judd would die a horrible death. She is the absolute worst. Ashley Judd, you're the reason women shouldn't vote. Twisted is such a bad movie, I don't even want to rape it. Whatever you do, don't tell Ashley Judd she'll die alone with a dried out vagina. If I had to fuck an older woman, oh my God, I would fuck the shit out of Ashley Judd. That bitch is hot AF. The unforgivable shit I would do to her.
Yes, she is. She still is.
Online misogyny is a global gender rights tragedy, and it is imperative that it ends. Woo!
Woo! Yeah.
Did you feel that, Finch? Did you feel that?
I felt the energy. Yeah. No, she.
Whew.
I mean, especially from a actress / expert in every subject related matter on the planet, of course.
Now, for a little context, I mean, if you probably already knew, but those were tweets that she had received in the past where people had some nasty things to say to her.
Yeah, I figured they were Facebook comments, tweets, whatever she does to, put herself in those situations.
Yeah, from what I understand, I mean, I don't follow her or anything, but she's kind of a pretty outspoken classical feminist, but with the newer, more extreme kind of take on things, I guess. Now, having watched the whole thing, I will say that Ashley Judd is very genuine. Hopefully I'm not being fooled by her acting ability, but she seems very genuine. She really, really means what she says. I don't think she has any kind of, bad intentions or anything, but she's just a little bit caught up in the kind of the extreme nature that these topics go, where people are just, God, it's just so extreme.
So, how's this connecting to the gaming world?
Well, we're gonna get there. She's gonna mention it herself, but I think there's a very close tie between this misogyny on Twitter and tying that into Gamergate, that whole thing, which I don't really know a ton about, to be honest, and then how women are treated in video games. This will all tie together, but regardless, it's all very close to the gaming culture, if you will, or at least that's what these news organizations have been telling us.
Okay, that's gotcha.
All right, so I'm going to play another clip. Let's dive into this a little bit more. Here we go.
It's clearly traumatizing. Our mental health, our emotional well-being are so gravely affected because the threat of violence is experienced neurobiologically as violence.
So just so you guys know, this is just her talking about, receiving a threat and what it actually does to you physically.
It really sounds like she's, and I could be wrong, and she hasn't even really gone into it, but it already sounds like she's regurgitating something someone else has already said. But
that's possible. Well, all right, let's go on with this clip.
Cortisol shoots up. The limbic system gets fired. We lose productivity at work.
All right, here's where it starts going off the rails. I think what she just said was legitimate. If you were to read someone who just wrote you like, I'm going to fucking come and kill you, I'm going to hunt you down, it is going to make my adrenaline, even if I don't believe it, it's going to make my adrenaline go up a little bit. I'm going to be a little like, oh, Jesus, I think that's legitimate.
No, it is. And at my job, I would get certain comments. I'm not easily offended, but they still change your mood, even if it's slightly.
Yep.
And usually affect, mood changes will affect your work.
So here's an example where she makes a great point, and I'm like, yes, that would be tough. On her side, where she's getting tons of it, 'cause she's very outspoken, that would be grating after a while. That would be really you either get completely used to it or it just buries you completely.
Yeah, me personally, I would just get numb to it, and I wouldn't care. But then again, I'm not easily offended. I mean, when you expose yourself like that, when you're gonna give a strong opinion or go out on the internet, I don't see how you can think you can do that and not deal with the I don't want to call them consequences, but people with difference of opinions.
Exactly. All right. So my point is, she takes a good point that I can agree with, at least. Like, yeah, it would affect me, and then she just goes crazy with it. Here we go.
And let's talk about work. Our ability to work is constrained. Online searches of women applying for jobs reveal nude pictures of them, false allegations they have STDs, their addresses indicating that they are available for sex, with real examples of people showing up at this house for said sex.
Okay, what the fuck is she talking about? There's no screen behind her on this talk with bullet points, so we are looking at a house or anything, and a picture of a person. She's just saying this shit.
So I'm really confused. So she just said something about applying for jobs with nude pictures and showing up to a house for sex. I mean,
yes.
I mean, isn't that just what a porn actress is?
So I think her point was that women, it's so bad for women they can't even work, they can't even apply for jobs because the possible employer is going to look for pictures of nudes of them and give their address to their friends to go have sex with her. I really don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
Well, that's such bullshit. I mean, I work in a company that has at least 200 employees, and the majority of them are women, and the majority of people there that are in power are women. So, and not that this really matters, but they're black women. So, I mean, you even throw the racial element in there. So you got woman and being black. Of course, being near Atlanta, it might be a little different than other parts of the country, but pretty much everyone that I work with is female and black.
And so I mean, what's your point exactly? That what she's saying is complete bullshit, or it doesn't make sense?
Well, yeah, that is bullshit because women are getting jobs.
Oh, well, I mean, I really hope she can't possibly be trying to make the point that women can't get jobs.
That's ridiculous. That's what it sounds like.
It sounds like
they got to resort to the bottom of the porn industry in order to get a job. So I don't know.
So, all right, these are just some kind of just basic things. This is the problem as she sees it. We shouldn't be allowed to say nasty things to women or something on Twitter. Or I don't really know, but from here on out, she's offering solutions to this problem. It's easy to point out a problem, but here are her actual solutions.
Okay.
Would you like to hear?
No, I want to hear that. I want to hear that because you always hear about problems, but you never hear about solutions. So, no, this will be good.
Yeah, we'll give her credit for that for now. Let's see what her solutions actually are.
Okay.
All right, here we go. This is solution number 1.
We're going to win this fight.
Yeah.
There are a lot of solutions. Thank goodness. I'm going to offer just a few. And of course, I challenge you to create and contribute your own. Number 1, we have to start with digital media literacy. And clearly it must have a gendered lens. Kids, schools, caregivers, parents. It's essential.
All right, hold on. She's talking about literally filtering out language?
I get. Is that with like the gender
I mean, gender
lens?
lens means it has to be filtered, and so it's appropriate for whatever gender lens she wants it to be in. Because she's defining the gender lens, whatever that is, in her head. This isn't like a democratic popular consent thing. This is seems to be too much of a personal opinion of what that should be. But okay, I'll continue on.
Yeah, I guess that's right. And okay, if you want to implement something like that, you just need the private companies that run the platforms that everybody uses. You just gotta, convince them to implement those tools. I hope she's not, inferring that there should be laws or something. I think that's ridiculous. But whatever. So we'll go on to the next one. We're getting really close to the gaming tie-in. Okay, guys, I'm telling you. Okay. All right, here's the next one.
2. Shall we talk about our friends in tech? Said with dignity and respect, the sexism in your workplaces must end.
Yeah.
EDGE, the global standard for gender equality, is the minimum standard. And guess what? Silicon Valley, if L'Oreal in India, in the Philippines, in Brazil, and in Russia can do it, you can too.
She just compared L'Oreal, which I am assuming is the women's makeup companies, having a lot of women working at their offices, to the tech industry as a whole. They should have just as many women working for them, I guess. But this isn't done, but I just had to toss that in there.
Okay.
Here we go.
Enough excuses.
Enough excuses.
Only when women have critical mass in every department at your companies, including building platforms from the ground up, will the conversations about priorities and solutions change.
You can solve that by having more girls actually go for computer science degrees and things so they can actually build the platforms themselves.
It's just what they choose not to do. I mean, we are definitely all about women having equal rights. I mean, I know that we both feel that way, but that has nothing to do with what type of jobs women want. Bringing in the factor that women are the only ones that can bring other human beings into this world. I mean, all that has a factor in it. I mean, are we trying to say that, there should be as many women, lifting up, as many women should be loggers out there carrying logs, to the truck?
Yes.
Or you want to hire an all-female moving company to help you move all your stuff?
Yes.
I mean, there's just some jobs that women are better at than men, and vice versa. I mean, I think anyone with some common sense can realize that. And it's nothing, it doesn't make anyone better or worse. It's just females have strengths and weaknesses that are different than men. And we all tend to cater to our strengths and weaknesses. Or we cater to our strengths and try to avoid things that would, implement our weaknesses. And therefore, you're not going to see a lot of women driving around in a moving truck. And that's not to say that means that the industry as a whole is sexist.
No, not at all. It's just I don't know. I don't get the big push in the new kind of extreme feminism. It's very odd. It's looked down upon if you want to stay home and actually raise a family. I don't know what to make of it.
She mentioned something about the global, like how it should be, how you can find it in Russia and stuff, but she doesn't mention any of the countries where women will get their heads cut off for no reason practically. So that's a nice little omission. Yeah,
it probably is. I mean, you got to understand too. She's doing a TED Talk for women, so the whole audience is like everybody's on her side, So you can just like say some of these things, willy nilly, no problem, and everyone's like, yeah, of course,
Right. But before it gets too political, what's the gaming aspect?
I'm about to
just we're getting there. Okay.
This is it. I am finally at the gaming part of her talk.
All right, I want to hear it then.
All right, let's run this shit.
And more love for my friends in tech. Profiteering off misogyny in video games must end. I'm so tired of hearing you talk to me at cocktail parties, like you did a couple weeks ago in Aspen, about how deplorable #Gamergate was when you're still making billions of dollars off games that maim and dump women for sport. Basta, as the Italians would say. Enough.
Yeah, I find that to be totally ridiculous. I don't even know what she means there. Is it? I mean, every time you hear about any misogyny or racism or something in a video game, I mean, they're always gonna show an example of, like, I guess, Grand Theft Auto.
That's the golden standard for this stuff.
Is it because there's prostitutes in Grand Theft Auto on the street, and she doesn't want that? I mean, I don't understand.
Well, she generalized it.
There's a lot of female characters now that are becoming, the leading role and the main character of the story. I don't understand how you take society and simulate it in a video game, and that's wrong. I mean, it's just, a lot of these things are facts, whether they're good or bad. Whether you think prostitution should be legal or not, or that's a career that would be fulfilling or not, that's a personal opinion. But to have a world simulation of just actual culture, I don't see how that's profiteering. Instead of, it seems to me it's just more realistic. That's what Grand Theft Auto 5 especially was trying to be, the most realistic open world game to date.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about misogyny in video games, especially the maiming and dumping, I think she said, of women for sport. They do always talk about GTA and things like that, but there's Anita Sarkeesian, I think is her name. She has a YouTube channel called Feminist Frequency, and she does a bunch of video series on this. So she, I'd have to give her credit for the fact that she does show a ton of examples of at least like these, giant broad brush statements, but the clips are always out of context. It's just it's like only showing a clip in Grand Theft Auto where you pick up a prostitute, put her in your car, you do the sexy time in the car bouncing up and down. They let the girl out of the car, and then you run her over and steal her money back. That's like the only thing that they would show for Grand Theft Auto. Right. But there's apparently to these people, there are tons and tons of examples, and it's been an industry trend forever, and it's time for it to end. And our young girls growing up playing video games. It's so unhealthy for them to see, and I don't know. It sounds like a lot of posturing, to be perfectly honest.
No, I would agree. Now, something that I really can't have an opinion on when you're talking about Gamergate.
Me either. I don't know much about it.
How women are actually treated in the workplace when you work for Blizzard, Ubisoft, whatever company that you want to think of. Now,
they're saying it's really bad.
You hear a lot of stories that it's really bad, right? But as someone that's skeptical of all media, and I guess including gaming media when it wants to get political, anyways. If I'm reading an article about a game, that's why I like gaming. It's separated. I don't like it when they bring in the politics, which we will talk about a certain website that's starting to get very political in the gaming world right now.
I think you should. I think you should mention a little bit of it today. You don't need to mention any specific examples, but I think it's very appropriate to our topic, to be honest. So feel free if you feel like it.
Well, since we are getting political this episode, which definitely
sorry guys,
intention. It definitely is not the intention. Something that we have to watch is, and something we'll look into further, is Kotaku. I hate to pick on Kotaku. I have nothing against Kotaku. I know, I've been following a lot of the writers, and of course their podcast, before they were bought by Univision, and I'm sure they didn't have any intentions of getting hired on Kotaku and think that they were going to have to start getting political, but we're going to definitely have to keep an eye out on that, and we'll get into that in a further episode.
They've always been very, very political. But maybe not political, more have an extreme bias, at least how it relates to video games. But now, after the Univision acquisition, now it's like straight up like turning on MSNBC or Fox News type political.
Well, I wouldn't see a whole lot of political stuff on there, except maybe during the Gamergate stuff. But maybe I just wasn't looking for it. I don't know. But now, when I go on their website, I'm not looking for it either, but now I'm starting to notice it.
Well, because, they've just got headlines, a political headline about a political topic.
True.
In the political, what's happening right now, as if, like I said, you're going to MSNBC. It's very straight up. Before, they just had biases in certain topics like misogyny and things like that as it relates to video games. But now it's, there's just, I don't know. I can't stand it. I go there to escape. And I really like Kotaku. I've been reading them for years and years and years. And it's hard to get off because there is not much good content out there that's not just like, let's regurgitate the headlines. The new Halo 5 is coming out today. And da-da-da-da-da. That gets really boring. And every single podcast, they all say the exact same thing. And that's one of the things we're trying to do here at the Player 33 show. We want to bring some original content to our audience. We think that the genre is starving for it. And that's what our goal is.
Right.
So with that, I'd like to move to, we'll finish Ashley Judd's solutions, but right now I think it's time to talk about our good friend George W. You remember George W., don't you? Speaking of politics.
I think I'm plenty old enough to remember good old George W.
Well, we here at the Player 33 show, we've been friends with George W. for quite some time, so I actually contacted him very recently. I want him to help me. I want him to record a little soundbite for me so I can set up our new donation segment so that our audience, if they enjoy what we do, can help us keep doing it. Now, would you like to hear that little clip I got now?
Oh, that was awesome. That was very nice of him.
He's a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. He took me to his ranch. I helped him mend fences. All sorts of cool stuff. It was fun.
Well, I don't have a direct line to him like you do, but so let's see what he gave you.
All right, here we go. This is our new donation segment, guys.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
And as always, folks, one of the things that my co-host and I will do is
make sure your money is spent wisely.
All right, you guys heard it first. George W. endorses this podcast, and he would like you to help us out. There's one real simple way that you guys can help us out besides, liking us on iTunes and sending us emails and following us on Twitter. You can actually go to our Patreon and become a patron of our show.
Yes, exactly. We want to introduce. We're not the originators of this. I don't want to take full credit, but hardly anyone is doing this. And if it's successful, great. If it's not, then we'll still have fun doing what we're doing. But we want to introduce the value for value model.
Tell them where this model. Tell them where this model came from.
Well, this model comes from another podcast. I mean, do you want me to mention the name of it?
Of course.
Okay. Well, it comes from one of the bigger podcasts out there. I think they even won an award in the political section of a podcast, and they use a value for value model on the No Agenda show. And basically, our speech, what we talk about, our subject matter, our opinions, can a lot of times be controlled by our advertisers. And we don't want to have any advertisers at all. We want this to be an ad-free podcast so that we can talk about whatever we want without having some threat from some, marketing. We're
not beholden to any sponsor, any company whatsoever. And this is what we're going to try to do. The only way we can do it is if you guys help us. And by helping us, I mean, just send your cash.
Just send your cash. We don't need your water. But basically a value for value model is, if you like the show, if you're getting any value out of it, like you would a TV show, like for the cable that you pay, for the internet you pay, if you pay for Hulu, whatever, if you get any value from it, we definitely are asking for donations to keep us going here and keep us ad free, keep our opinions to be free, to have the freedom to say whatever we want, even if sometimes we might offend you, even if sometimes you may disagree. We won't have another, corporate shadow in the background telling us, hey, you need to cut this out, or hey, we're not going to sponsor you if you release this episode, or and that stuff happens all the time. So we're trying to avoid all that, and the best model that we have agreed on is called the value for value model, and it's just if you simply find value from it, then send some value our way.
Send a little value our way. Now here's how you send value our way. You can visit patreon.com/player33, and that's 33. patreon.com/player33. All right, so there is our donation segment. I hope I motivated some of you people out there to send us your cash. We don't need your water. We don't need your blankets. We don't need your food. We need the cash so we can buy those things. Okay. Plus, I haven't given you a P.O. box on where to send those blankets, so don't even try. All right, we're gonna get right back into it. So we've got 3 more solutions to this misogyny in video games and on Twitter. Got 3 more solutions I want to get to real quick.
Now, does logging out of your computer, is that part of any of the solutions?
That's not part of any of the solutions. Sorry for the spoiler, guys, but that's not.
Damn. Okay. All right. Well, then I guess I'm not smart enough. I want to hear it.
Okay. This one. Well, I won't say what it is. I'll just play it. Here we go.
Our friends in law enforcement have much to do because we've seen that online violence is an extension of in-person violence. In our country, more girls and women have been murdered by their intimate partners than died on 9/11 and have died since in Afghanistan and Iraq combined. And it's not cool to say that, but it is true. We care so much geopolitically about what men are doing over there to women over there. In 2015, 72,828 women used intimate partner violence services in this country. That is not counting the girls and women and boys who needed them. Law enforcement must be empowered with up-to-date internet technology, the devices, and an understanding of these platforms,
really good point.
how they work. The police wanted to be helpful when Amanda Hess called about the death threat she was getting on Twitter, but they couldn't really when they said, "What's Twitter?"
So that's the only...
What's Twitter? Really?
Well, I think she's making a point, but I think it's really true. I think our law enforcement agencies, a lot of them, especially in rural areas, just have no idea even where to begin.
Well, it isn't. Well, I was gonna say, what a great country to be living in when these are our big problems. When you have a gigantic platform like Ashley Judge that has, she chooses to talk about this. But in other countries around the world, they're still trying to get water and food on a daily basis. And people just don't realize that or think about that. And we're sitting here trying to fight over these little things. Now, as far as the police and Twitter, I mean, that's a tough thing.
Let's stop for 1 second. Although you have a point, I do like her point where she says, let's not worry as much about what men are doing to women over there. There are things happening here. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of all for that. I kind of like taking care of our own first and kind of figuring stuff out at home before we get
absolutely.
too worried about all these other places. 'Cause we do have a lot of problems here.
But is this one of them?
No. I'm
just
speaking. I'm speaking in a generality. But she was basically answering your criticism by saying, "Well, what about those people over there? It's so much worse." And she's saying, "Well, let's first worry about what we have going on here," which is fine. You can take it however you want. But go ahead and say what you wanted to about the whole police thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, as far as the police thing, that's just a new issue. It's like when our Constitution has to deal with internet issues that the framers probably never ever thought about or never could possibly predict. But jurisdiction, where are these tweets coming from? How much does the law actually give them to go after them? And they're just words, though, at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, they are just words when you go back to like her beginning opening statements when they're talking about all these nasty things they said. But one distinction that I have, that if you threaten someone with physical harm, I think you should absolutely be found and arrested.
So you think that constitutes fighting words and hate speech?
If someone says to me online, "I'm going to come to your house and kill you," I should be able to call the police and file a complaint against them, and they should get in trouble for that. Yes.
Okay. I'm not saying I disagree with that at all.
Now, if they tell me that they think I'm a piece of shit, like, no, there's nothing to do there.
The problem is when you're going to have people, like, say, maybe yourself, will have a legit complaint about someone that actually might be a potential threat versus someone that says the whole world's a threat. They're just going to call the police every 5 seconds because someone said something mean on Twitter. When I was growing up, the biggest saying that I don't know who taught us this. It must have been the teachers, because I still remember it to this day. And of course, you'll remember this as sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I mean, talk about it, a social change in direction of that mantra to the mantras that are being spewed out today.
I agree. And people, I believe in free speech. People should be able to say anything that they want to. It's up to, at the end of the day, too. Okay, anything that they want to, unless they're saying they're going to kill you or like a physical violent threat. I think that should be dealt with. Absolutely. But anything else, absolutely anything else, you can't stop it. I believe in free speech. You should be able to say anything, whether we agree with it or not. And it's, at the end of the day, too, it's up to these platforms, People can't yell this to Ashley Judd. They got to use Twitter. So it's really up to them, whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I just hate how they have to bring in the gaming world into this, the gaming culture, because...
This is why it's tied in. This is why this is not a gaming podcast.
They just want to blame gamers for everything. I mean, ever since What,
Oh,
ever
God,
since, I want to say, at least for me, growing up, ever since Mortal Kombat came out, they wanted to blame everything on gaming. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if in the 70s and 80s, they wanted to do the same thing because of asteroids cause violence. But, I mean, it's
Do you remember
pretty proven.
Columbine? And like
Yeah.
Doom and stuff? They were trying to tie it to, and Marilyn Manson. But, I mean, it always...
Well,
Go ahead.
No, I was just... No, go ahead and finish.
No. I mean, they one of the big things about the Columbine kids was that they played violent video games, and it influenced them on how to carry this out. It made them become comfortable with the weapons and have better aim and all this kind of bunch of horse shit that's been disproven over and over and over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, being able to shoot somebody on a controller is nothing like going to the gun range. I'm sorry, but you can't even compare those two. But yeah,
no,
I've been
not
playing
with
games.
VR. Not with VR. Now it's very real.
Oh, I'm sure. I've been playing games my whole life. Of course, violent ones. I mean, if you play games, you probably play a violent video game. And I don't mean violent in the sense of, Call of Duty. I mean, take Lego Star Wars, for example. You're shooting and killing little other Legos, and they blow up into little pieces. I mean, that's violence. I mean, everything in video games since the beginning of video games has been about violence, even going all the way back to asteroids, where you're a little ship destroying things. I mean, it's not necessarily violence against another human, but it's still a violent act.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very, very true. All right. Well, I think you'll actually find this next solution interesting, because it kind of has to do with you and me spatting a little bit over what constitutes a threat, what doesn't, what law enforcement should give a shit about, what they should, blah, 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 blah.
Okay. I want to hear the solution. I do want to apologize. This does seem to me like it's coming out a little more political than maybe we intended, but
it's fun. Everybody have some fun. Come on.
Whatever. Yeah, it's not that serious. But go ahead.
That's why you guys need to write us at at player33show@gmail.com and Twitter, and tell us how shitty we are for doing this. How you're never ever going to listen again because we got as political as the people that we were actually criticizing on this show. Tell us about it. Anyway, here we go. I'm going to play the next one.
Our legislators must write and pass astute legislation that reflects today's technology and our notions of free and hate speech. In New York recently, the law could not be applied to a perpetrator because the crimes must have been committed, even if it was anonymous. They must have been committed by telephone, in mail, by telegraph. The language must be technologically
What a good
neutral.
punchline.
I know. I thought you'd like that. It's that hate speech thing. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like categorizing anything that way. That's dangerous.
Yeah, hate speech is. I don't even want to get into that because it'll be too
No,
political.
it's too political, and I'm sorry. And I know. Okay, so I haven't told Finch about any of this. This whole episode was all done on my side, and I can just feel him over there being like, "What the fuck, Joey?"
I am caught off guard, to say the least. But no, go ahead. You got a method to your madness, I'm sure.
I guess there's just one more. There's one more, and like, I guess it's political. I don't know. There's one last solution she's got. Okay. I'm sorry, people, but I want people to write us and tell us how bad this is. We should never do this again. All
Or
right.
if they want us to connect more stories like that, then maybe we would. But
I mean, this had to do with gaming. I mean, I know you people out there remember Gamergate and stuff. This has to do with gaming, but whatever. Here we go. Here's the final solution, and I do kind of say that coincidentally.
So apparently, I've got a pretty bold voice. So let's talk about our friends, white men.
Oh.
You have a role to play and a choice to make.
Okay.
You can do something,
All right.
or you can do nothing.
Oh.
So what do I need to do?
We're cool in this room, but when this goes out, everyone will say, "Oh my God, she's a reverse racist."
So yeah, that was her final solution.
I like that. She countered her. She countered her critics. At the very end there.
So yeah, that's it. That's it, folks. That's profiteering of misogyny in video games. I tied it all together so
Yeah,
well, didn't I?
it was beautiful.
You are
Well, you
so
know,
like, what the fuck, Joey? We're gonna talk after this episode is done.
no, but haven't done, obviously my research into these things prior hand, so I don't have a lot to add to it. So I was just kind of following you on this one.
I'm hoping that's a good thing to our listeners. I kind of like that. I kind of like it being really, really
Oh
organic.
yeah, and that's the kind of stuff we want to do. Like I'm gonna have some episodes where you're gonna have no clue, and I'm gonna start talking about zoology for a half hour, and
Yes.
we'll see where it goes.
All right, good. Well, hey,
I don't mean it like that though. I mean, I
No,
understand
no.
that there's a gaming connection, but it definitely led us to talk about everything. But
hey, at least I tied it in the middle. The video game industry is profiteering off of maiming and dumping women for sport.
yeah, summarize the whole thing. Like summarize it up to people that got lost, or
Okay.
the overall point when you were doing this research. What was your thesis statement here, or your ending paragraph?
Well, I'm going to summarize everything for you. Men, online especially, are bad. They threaten women when they speak online or when you play video games with them. If a girl talks, then someone tells them to shut the fuck up or something like that. Now, my experience in video games when women talk is completely different, because they're always trying. You can tell the guys that are like trying to flirt with them and stuff. So I don't know.
I was gonna say that I've seen both.
I've never seen the bad one. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I've just never seen like the "you fucking bitch." I've never seen that stuff.
Well, I
Or
play
heard
I play a game with one of my buddies, and he uses his girlfriend. That's real cool. He uses his girlfriend as his profile pic or whatever. So people will be playing and see it, and they of course think that that's who's playing the game, is whoever that picture of is. And I'll see a lot of times, hey, you want to fuck, or damn them redheads, or hey, you want to do you want to fuck, and just like over and over
Do
again.
you want to fuck?
Like literally, but those guys, you can't take it seriously.
I'm mainly
That's the
talking
whole
about, but
point.
I'm talking about like when girls get on the mic specifically. Everyone's like, "Oh, hey, what's up?"
Well, right, and I do, I think we played the other day with one of my other friends who's female, and she's reported some experiences of, a big one is she said when she talks, everyone's like, you're either a 12-year-old boy or a girl. She gets that a lot.
I've heard that before.
So she gets a lot of that, and then they will think that she can't do anything, like
Sorry,
in a sports game. Just for I'm throwing out generalities here, not naming any specific games or anything, but just say it's a sports game. They think that she can't score, or you play Call of Duty, that she's not going to be able to capture a point or kill somebody. They definitely, oh, you're a girl, so therefore you suck at games. That does happen.
Well, that's a good perspective. I haven't experienced that. I mean, I don't run into many. I don't play with any women that are like friends or anything online. So I'm not with a woman on a microphone on a regular basis.
But also the reverse happens too. I mean, you got some of your biggest Twitch streamers and YouTube streamers that stream live, and a lot of them are these girls that have huge followings. And if you ever watch them play, they're usually one of the best in the match or game. And so
yeah, a lot of them are, because Twitch kind of they clamp down on like the titty streamers and stuff. So like the ones that are left are a lot of times really friggin' good.
Yeah,
at
they're
Overwatch
really good.
and all these things.
Of course, yeah. So I hope that tells people that it's not the case. Hopefully that'll be something that will awaken people. Oh, girls are actually good at games. And I don't even know where that comes from. I mean, maybe girls at a younger age didn't necessarily get into video games. But some of my nieces, they're all into video games and they're getting really good now. They just kind of like almost following in my footsteps. Just
Yeah,
play
it's normalized
games from a
now.
young age.
It's normal.
Yeah, I think these are old issues that should have been dealt with maybe a long time ago, and now they want to deal with them as they're self-correcting themselves. Like this whole issue is socially correcting itself on its own. You're never going to get rid of 100% of anything. I'll throw my one of my things I say all the time is I don't think you could get 100 or even we'll just throw out 1,000 people to make it a little bit more realistic. I don't think you could get 1,000 people in the same room or same space and all agree that the sky's blue. I just don't think that's possible. So to stop, everything is going to be impossible, but you're always going to have a little bit, and I think it's getting less and less and less, and it's self-correcting itself on its own naturally.
Yeah. I mean, even my wife, like, she played Super Nintendo, specifically Super Mario World, like, to death. And every time we get together and play it, she's just so much better than me. But that doesn't say much. I'm kind of shitty at video games anyway.
You are shitty, yeah.
I'm fucking dirty casual. But anyway, I think this is a good time to wrap everything up. I want to remind everyone to definitely write to us. Tell us what's good. Tell us what's bad. You can write an email to player33show@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at player33bob. And you can follow Finch. What's your handle, Finch?
That will be player33finch, Finch.
And of course, please help us out. Go to patreon.com/player33. And those are the numbers 33. Anyway, everybody have a great night.
All right, take it easy. Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, we'll definitely hear your feedback.
All right. Later.
Later.